Hey there, fish keepers, Dean here. Gonna start my fish room update with my upstairs tank. The Tewa Creek Rads here just came in from outside. They're looking pretty good. I put them in with some Pseudomagilla luminatus, which are breeding in this tank. It's set up with a spawning mop. Check it every day, get a few eggs. Looks like I've got some eggs from the Tewa Creek Rads too. And there's 6 of them, and you can see one of the males there is missing half of his tail. There's nothing genetically wrong with him. He just got damaged at some point before I got him. But they're doing really good up here in this 20-gallon long upstairs. And yeah, so I'll go downstairs and we'll check out those fish too. The 90-gallon is looking okay. Congos are looking good. You can see my Australis rainbowfish, Melatoninea australis. It's the morning, so they're starting to fire up here. Their lights just came on a little while ago. And I've got Frascatus, Pseudomagilla frascatus in here. This has turned into a retirement tank, so the Frascatus are pretty size large in this tank. But they stopped producing eggs, so I had to move them down here. Got some glow lights and neons in here too, and a snail graveyard from my clown loaches, who I don't see kicking around here, but they were out earlier when I first turned on the light. And you can see the Australis are starting to fire up here a bit. They're a pretty fish. Looks like the males are going at it for dominance. But I will leave these guys here. So this tank is doing good, but basically a retirement tank now. We'll see if the garyi. Yesterday I tried to do a video, but the Corydoras garyi were being super shy. And usually they're not, but they're out. I just fed them this morning, so I'll just get a little bit of Corydoras garyi here before I go to the other tanks, just because they might spook when I go to the tanks beside this one. And you can see there, they don't like noise. They're okay with a little bit of movement around their tank, but noise, they don't like that. And this is my celestial pearl danio continuous breeding setup. It's doing ridiculously well. There is just a pile of fry in this tank. I'll try and get a little closer to see if I can see them. There's so many of them. And you can see them there in the upper right hand corner. Just a pile of fry. I'd say there's like 40 or 50. I gotta take these guys out and move them to a different tank here right away. They're just, I haven't had room to move them out of this tank yet, so I had to let them grow out a bit in it. But the continuous breeding setup for celestial pearl danios is doing awesome. It's really producing. I've sold all the ones that were grown before. And I've got my Corydoras garyi fry in this tank. They're not really fry anymore. They're like young adults. And they're not really that shy, but in this tank they like to stay in the back underneath the Anubias. They come out every once in a while and for shows, but they are tough to film. They just move underneath the Anubias. This tank is just thick. I put them in there because it's one of my most stable tanks, so I didn't really want to put them into a tank that wasn't super stable. This is my goldfish tank, soon to be. Those plants will soon all be eaten. And then one thing that is new in the fish room is Sundadanio axelrodi, which is just a gorgeous little fish. They really look like tiny cardinal tetras. So this is the blue variety. They're just a beautiful little fish and not shy at all. So they're always right up at the front. You can see there's some rosy loaches back in there, and My ruby tetras are in there, and there's a couple of emerald tetras kicking around. I see a ruby tetra there. Ruby tetra is really washed out over this sand. When I put the Corydoras garyi fry into the other tank, I moved the ruby tetras from that tank, which is really super dark. They look gorgeous in it, but over this lighter substrate, they don't look nearly as good. Then we'll move over here to my Frascatus, Frascatus, or Frascatus rainbowfish. The new breeding colony. So they've bred in there, they've had a few eggs, but I think I'm going to have to put a spawning mop on these guys. They seem to eat their fry. Their parents were pretty good, but they were older. These guys are pretty young and fast, so I think they're eating most of the fry. So I can't keep this as a semi-continuous setup anymore. Then in here, I've got my reed tetras and my spotted blue eyes, or Pseudomygil gertrudii, and they are doing really well. The little Pseudomygils are almost up to breeding size, and there's quite a few of them in there, but I fed them brine shrimp, and the brine shrimp must have all went to the back. So there are a lot of them in there, and they're getting to be really gorgeous. There's some really super nice males that have grown up out of there. I also have my yellow shrimp in that tank. And then here I've got another grow out tank. Looks like the reflection is pretty bad on this tank. It's morning here, so there's starting to be some light coming in from the windows. But I've got my last batch of towa and some more spotted blue eyes in here. They gotta go in with the other ones here pretty quick, but they're okay in here for the next little while. So these guys are doing good. I've also got lots of orange shrimp kicking around in here. Then I took in the Medaka from outside, and they are in this little tank here. These were my breeding group. I think I put 9 out there, and I got 7 back inside, so which is pretty good, and they're looking really good. They did well outside in the summer and produced tons of eggs, more than what I could deal with, and they're doing good in here. And then this tank is an absolute crazy train right now. There's some more towa fry. I've got a lot of males in here. One of my friends came by and got a bunch of females off of me because she ended up acquiring a bunch of towas, and they were all males, so I gave her a bunch of females. But in that last batch that I showed there of towas, there's lots of females, so I wasn't worried about it. But there's some celestial pearl danios in here. If we look around, yeah, you can see them in there. The ones I couldn't catch. And some luminatus rainbowfish, or Pseudomygil luminatus. I still have a few of them in here. And I've got a spawning mop set up in here for the luminatus because I got to get them going again too. I've got lots, but they're starting to get up there. They only live about, I don't know, 18 months or so. Not a super long-lived species. But the crazy train in this tank is pea puffer babies. So you can see there's a little pea puffer there. I'll try and get a real close-up on these guys. I don't know if I can. But yeah, you can see one there. There's 17 of them. So one of my friends, Sabrina, her pea puffers are breeding, and she doesn't raise brine shrimp all the time, so she brought them over here to me. These guys need live food, and they're just pretty slow. They've been kind of tough to get going, but I figured out that the eggs hatch in 2 or 3 days, and then they just lay on their sides for like 5 days. So I leave them in methylene blue for about 5 days, and then I move them into these little containers where they can get food easy. You can see there's just the one there. that you can see. They're all probably near the bottom. You can see there's kind of a bigger one there, but they're picking the brine shrimp off the bottom. So super cool. They're really cute little guys. I've really enjoyed raising those guys, but that's been a lot of my effort lately, trying to raise pea puffers. And then over here, got this little tank set up to be a bit of an aquascape, but the light on it is a bit too strong. I've just got some of my endlers in here, and I really like the way that the cryptocorn parva looks between the rocks, so I'm trying to get a cool scape set up for that. But it's been tough. This light is just too strong for this tank, so I've got to mess with it to stay away from the hair algae. It is an issue. In this tank here, absolutely nothing has changed. It's my Süßwasser tank, grow up. So Süßwasser tank is seeded everywhere from this tank. It just does really well in it. There's some CPDs in this tank as well, but they hide in the back. There's a little hole in the back that they hide out in. This tank here, I've just got extra red cherries in, and it's going to be one of my grow out tanks. I'm debating about whether or not I'm going to put the pea puffers in here, but there might be a little bit too much current. I don't know. It could also grow out CPDs in it too. And then this hasn't changed either. It's my Endler tank, which is getting to be super overpopulated. There's a lot of fish in that tank. And down here, we'll see if we can get the garyi afterwards a little bit closer, but these are my breeder luminatus. Hopefully one of the males sticks around. They're getting to be a little bit older, but they are gorgeous, gorgeous fish. And I've got towa everywhere, if you can see that. They're one of my favorite fish. We'll just take a look from this side. I've also got this red, Barclaya longfolia red, has flowered, and I got seeds from it, and I actually planted seeds, 11 seeds in this tank, all around the tank. I went about a ½ inch below the surface to see if they will germinate. And then I've also got a Barclaya longfolia green in here, which is also flowered, so should have some Barclaya longfolia plantlets here soon, I hope. I also put the seeds from the Barclaya longfolia red in 7 other tanks to see if they grow, so I'm covering all my bases. And then down here, nothing's really changed in this tank except that it's full of algae now. But I don't totally hate it, which is odd. So you can see here it's the morning and the Siri Creek rads are firing up, and the Kelly towa are starting to fire up. They're super gorgeous fish. I could just sit here and watch this tank. You can see the hair algae is pretty bad in there, but it looks kind of natural, like similar to natural aquatic habitats. So I don't completely hate it. It's about the only tank that I've had an algae problem in that I don't hate. It's also going to be insanely difficult to get rid of. Probably going to move the light around, maybe change the timing, add some amanos, you know, just give it a try. I've tried with duckweed, and the duckweed's just not cutting the mustard, not taking out enough nutrients to rob the algae of nutrients. But so that's my Kelly towa. Those are my breeders. Pretty awesome. And my Siri Creek breeders, or Siri Creek rads. They're gorgeous. So that's that tank, and nothing's really changed since the last time other than it's full of algae. And then in the corner here, absolutely nothing has changed with this tank because I never let anything change with it. It's my orange shrimp mothership and my baby grow out tank. So that's probably where those baby pea puffers are going, I would say for sure. It's been good. I've raised a lot of fry in there. Then here we're starting to get some serious reflection from the morning sunlight here. But these are my Medaka fry, so I made sure I got fry from my Medaka before I put them outside. And so I got some yokihis and some platinums in here. So lots of these guys, they're doing really super good. Super easy fish to breed if you haven't bred anything besides live bears before. Those are really easy. But the fry are big and they take dry foods right away. And this is one of my Endler tanks. I got that Hygrophila compact in there. Really like that plant. I'm pretty impressed with it. I'd like to have more of it, but it seems to be hard to divide a bit. But it's doing good in here. I'll just have to get more down the road. And then I've got my Asian rummy noses in here, trying to breed these guys. Brought in the honey blue eyes from outside. They didn't like the transition very well, so I lost a few of those, but we'll try and get them going yet in here. But this is really thick with hornwort because these Asian rummy noses I got to breed in the summer, but their fry are tiny and they need infusoria right away. You can see one of the Asian rummy nose females is really old. She's 9. But the males are looking good, and there's a couple of fat females in there that are producing eggs, and I have seen a fry in there. But man, I don't know. I might have to put them in a separate tank all on their own without any current, I think. But I have seen an Asian rummy nose fry in there. And then in here, we've got my Pseudomagil Ivant Sophies, the fry that I had from earlier on. So that colony is going. And now I've got enough. I've also added in a few new guys in there to get a little bit of genetic diversity, because I started out with 2 males and a female. That was it, and I got these fry from it, and then I picked up another 3 Ivan Sophies from Curtis, and to give them some diversity. And I just got to throw a spawning mop in there at some point. These guys are ready to breed. And this tank here, this is my spotted blue eye, or Pseudomagil Gertrudii colony. But they've gotten pretty old. I've had them for more than 2 years, maybe even 3. And they're getting pretty old. You can see well, these males look not too bad, but there's one male in there that's looking pretty geriatric. But I got a few Frascatus fry in there, some randoms that were small, so I grew them up in with the spotted blue eyes. And that tank's doing pretty good. I've got lots of orange shrimp in here too. Trying to get a Barclaya lomfolia red going in this tank, but I don't think it's got good enough light to grow it. And then in this tank, I've got most of my tetras, some blue king tetras, there's Buclea, and some cardinal tetras, and there's green neons in here as well. And I also did a little bit of video last night. I've got some CW155 Corydoras in here, and gonna go and take a look at those to end the video off. I filmed them at night because they are nocturnal. They hardly come out during the day at all, basically never. But as soon as the main light turns off and the blue light turns on, and it's just on for 20 minutes or so, they come right out and I feed them. So I'll show that at the end. But we'll see if we can see my garyi here. I got some pellets here, so they should be around the pellets. And they're there. But the light is starting to come out in the basement here. You can see the towa are all over the pellets too. But yeah, they're doing really good in there. Super cool fish. You can see my panacory should be in there too, but boy, there's getting to be some serious reflection going on here. I'll try from the other side here for a second. But they got spooked. So I will leave you with the CW155 Corydoras.
So you can see my CW155 Corydoras catfish here, chewing on a shrimp pellet after the lights have gone out. Well, just the blue light is on. So it's nice to actually be able to use the blue light for something. It's pretty cool. I watch these guys every second night or so. Really cool fish. Happy fish keeping.